I'm going to start bringing Hebrews now to a conclusion. I hope you will continue reading these verses and studying what God has to say about faith, because we've got some tremendous examples here. But I want to jump down towards the end of this chapter, and I want to get into verse 32, because in the last time we talked about these people died not seeing what was promised. Sometimes we will see what's promised, and sometimes we won't. How will we respond? Take a look in verse 32 of chapter 11. It says, "What more shall I say? I do not have time to talk about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and the prophets, who through faith," watch what they did, "who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. Women received back their dead, raised to life again." I want you to take a look at that, whose weaknesses were turned to strengths. Paul said, "When I am weak, then I am strong." Sometimes God takes our physical situation, like Daniel in the lion's den. God shut the mouths of the lions. Why? Because Daniel was praying to God. He had faith that God might rescue him. God might not, but God is sovereign, and God could do whatever God wanted to do. That kind of faith, of trusting God so implicitly. It's like a little child. Jesus said, faith of a child. He wanted us to have faith like children. Imagine, what it's like. My 4-year-old grandchild, she puts her hand in mine and we cross the street. She's completely trusting me that I know what time it is going to be safe to cross the street. That's what we have to do with God. We put our hand completely in His. That sometimes we will see the result. Daniel got to see the power of God. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes the strength that God is producing in us is not for the physical world, it's for the spiritual world. It says, "Others were tortured and refused to be released so that they might gain a better resurrection. Some faced jeers, flogging, while still others were chained and put in prison." Ooh. "They were stoned. They were sawed in two. They were put to death by the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, mistreated. The world was not worthy of them. They wandered in deserts and mountains and in caves and holes in the ground. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised." Why not? Well, he answers in the next verse. God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us they would be made perfect. There were people life did not come about the way they wanted it to. If you hop back to verse 17, it says, "By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had received the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son. Even though God had said to him, 'It is through Isaac that your offspring would be reckoned,' Abraham reasoned that God could raise the dead. And figuratively speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death." Wait a minute. Abraham has never seen God raise the dead at this point, but he is reasoning that God can raise the dead. He has the faith in the power of God, that God spoke this world into existence and He can speak anything into existence. Sometimes God tests our faith. In 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 and 7, it says, "In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Now wait, God tests us? These bad things come into my life as a test to build up my faith? If you turn over to 2 Peter, he goes into this even more. It's in chapter 1 of 2 Peter, verse 5. It says, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measures, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of Jesus Christ. But if anyone does not have them, he's nearsighted and blind and forgotten that he has been cleansed from past sins. Wait a minute, God's building up our faith so that we can become effective witnesses for His glory, His power, His might. God is doing this to reveal His glory in our lives and to build up our faith. These are commended for their faith, even though they didn't see what had been promised. Their faith, the bad things that came in, made them exercise their faith. Let me tell you, as our daughter was sick, I was on my knees. I was on my knees, praying to God, praising God, exercising my faith. How can I exercise my faith? God, I believe you're good, and I believe that you are righteous, and I believe that you are holy, and I believe that you are powerful, and I choose to believe this even though I don't see it. That's faith. That's the kind of faith God commends. And we're going to bring this all together as we conclude in our next lesson.